8. The element of point of view or perspective. Critical thinking is thinking about your thinking to make it better and adopting traits that make it possible. All thinking consists of 8 fundamental elements. Mind your P's and Q's to avoid the CIA. Point of view or perspective. The second fundamental element we are going to explore is that of perspective or point of view. As a thinker, you must assume a certain perspective or point of view. You are thinking within a certain time in history, thinking with a certain educational background, thinking within a certain situation, or thinking from a particular role. The context of your very existence is a perspective that you must reason from. You may not be fully aware of it, but you must reason from a perspective. This necessarily affects the products of your thinking. Your point of view is what you bring to the table. It is an element of reasoning. Now, can you reason without any perspective or point of view at all? It's difficult to imagine what this would look like. Even adopting a perfectly objective persona, if such a thing is possible, would still necessarily constitute a perspective, a point of view, that of an objective person. I can approach a problem from one perspective or even a variety of perspectives. I can see this problem as a parent, student, scientist, as a businessman, a nurse, teacher, or as a bystander. A politician would have a different perspective from a laborer. A military officer would have a different perspective than a basic trainee. A prison guard would have a different perspective than the prisoners he guards. Problems can be approached from a variety of perspectives. If I'm in a meeting and we're trying to solve an organizational problem, each position in the meeting brings a different perspective or point of view. You could have the point of view of the organizational historian, the lawyer, the public relations officer, or the floor manager, or the chief executive officer. These different perspectives all bring with them different concerns, different background problems, different relationships to the overall purpose of the organization itself. Each perspective will have its own take on the problem, perhaps different ways of solving the problem. Each point of view will probably contribute something different. The solution would perhaps take all of these perspectives into account, or at least the ones judged to be the most relevant to the situation. One important thing to recognize about perspective is that a variety of perspectives gives a broader view. Each perspective brings with it certain insights, certain ways of addressing the question or problem. Solving a problem from within one perspective may actually create problems from within another perspective. So each perspective will bring with it certain insights, and yet will also bring with it certain limitations or blind spots. What appears perfectly reasonable from one perspective may seem irrational or even foolish from another perspective. As thinkers, we cannot help but to adopt a point of view or perspective. Being fully aware of this helps us to imaginatively consider more, which can bring with it greater insight. In the next presentation, the 9th out of 34, I'll expound upon the element of questioning and challenge its necessity in reasoning.